The night was quiet, too quiet for a city known for its chaos. Streetlights flickered along the cracked sidewalks, casting eerie shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. Somewhere in the heart of the city, a young man was about to stumble into a mystery so chilling, so inexplicable, that it would haunt the police for years to come. His name was Darnel Green, a 22-year-old community college student from the South Side. Darnel wasn't extraordinary by society's standards. He didn't come from wealth, nor did he carry the privilege that shielded others from judgment. To many, he was just another black kid with too many dreams and not enough chances. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more intriguing stories. But Darnel carried something most overlooked, an unshakable determination to rise above the weight of stereotypes, the crushing poverty, and the suffocating doubts of those who never believed in him. What he didn't know, however, was that one fateful night, he'd walk into the kind of battle no one prepares for, the kind where truth bends, lies rule, and justice hides in the shadows. What do you think will happen next? Watch as the mystery unravels. Kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel for more intriguing stories. It started with a simple trip to the store. Darnel's sister had asked him to grab a gallon of milk after his night shift at the warehouse. Exhausted but obedient, Darnel stopped by the corner store just before midnight. That's when everything changed. As Darnel walked out of the store, a police cruiser pulled up. Two officers stepped out, one tall, cold-eyed and stone-faced, the other younger, with nervous energy in his step. "Hey you," the tall one barked. "Come here." Darnel froze, milk in one hand, receipt in the other. "What's the problem, officer?" Darnel asked, his voice steady, though his stomach churned with unease. "You fit the description," the officer snapped. Darnel knew what that meant. It didn't matter what description or crime. To them he fit. Within minutes, he was handcuffed, pressed against the hood of the cruiser, accused of robbing the same store he had just bought milk from. The irony was suffocating. The receipt crumpled in his trembling fist was proof of his innocence. Yet in that moment, proof didn't matter. The system had already chosen its villain. At the station, Darnel was interrogated for hours. The tall officer, Detective Holloway, made it clear he had no interest in Darnel's side of the story. "Just confess," Holloway sneered. "It'll go easier for you." "But I didn't do anything," Darnel protested. "Check the cameras. Ask the cashier. I was a customer, not a thief." But Holloway smirked, leaning closer. "Cameras malfunction all the time. Witnesses misremember. But your record? That'll speak loud enough." Darnel's heart sank. His record wasn't even criminal. It was a series of minor school suspensions, late bill notices, and a prior stop and frisk where nothing was found. Yet to Holloway it was enough to paint him guilty. Darnel wasn't just fighting for his freedom. He was fighting a war against a machine that thrived on crushing people like him. Days later, news outlets ran with the headline, "Local man arrested in armed robbery attempt." His mugshot, tired eyes, disheveled clothes, was splashed across screens. The world didn't see Darnel, the hard-working son, the student, the dreamer. They saw the villain Holloway wanted them to see. But fate, it seems, had other plans. 2 weeks into Darnel's wrongful detention, something strange happened. A rookie officer, the younger cop from the night of Darnel's arrest, slipped an envelope under his cell door. No words, no explanation, just a manila envelope. Inside was a single USB drive. Darnel stared at it, confusion and suspicion warring in his mind. Why would a cop help him? What could possibly be on this drive? When his lawyer, a tired public defender named Ms. Alvarez, visited the next day, Darnel handed it over. They plugged it in and what they saw froze them both. It was body cam footage. The entire arrest. The footage showed Darnel walking calmly out of the store, holding milk and a receipt. It showed him cooperating, asking polite questions, never resisting. And most importantly, it showed the store clerk running out moments later, shouting, "Wait, that's not him. He was just here buying milk." But Holloway ignored the clerk, tightening the cuffs instead. The evidence was undeniable. And yet, Darnel knew one thing. Having proof and getting justice were two very different battles. The day of the trial arrived and Darnel's future hung by a thread. Detective Holloway walked into the courtroom with smug confidence, the kind that comes from years of bending the system without consequence. The prosecutor painted Darnel as a troubled young man, prone to poor decisions, and desperate enough to commit a crime. Darnel sat silently, fury burning in his chest, until Ms. Alvarez rose with a small, satisfied smile. "Your Honor," she said, her voice firm, "the defense would like to submit new evidence." The lights dimmed, the monitor flickered, and the body cam footage played for the entire courtroom. Gasps filled the air. The jury leaned forward, eyes widening at the blatant miscarriage of justice. And for the first time, Holloway's smug expression cracked. The judge dismissed the charges immediately. The jury didn't even deliberate. Darnel was free. The courtroom erupted, some in outrage, some in relief. Darnel walked out, his sister in tears, his lawyer at his side. For a moment, it seemed like justice had finally prevailed. But deep down, Darnel felt uneasy. Because the rookie officer who had saved him never appeared again. No one mentioned him. No one even acknowledged that the footage had been leaked. And Holloway? He wasn't fired. He wasn't even suspended. He was simply reassigned. Darnel realized something chilling. This wasn't over. That night, Darnel sat in his room, staring at the evidence that had saved his life. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You think you're free? Holloway doesn't lose. Be careful. The real game is just beginning." Darnel's blood ran cold. Because along with the message was an attachment, another video file. He clicked it, and what he saw made his stomach drop. It was Holloway, in a dimly lit room, speaking into his phone. "Darnel Green isn't done. He knows too much. We'll make sure he disappears, just like the others." Darnel's breath caught. The others? How many lives had Holloway buried under false charges, false arrests, and silenced voices? The police had called Darnel's case closed. But this wasn't justice. This was only the beginning of a much darker mystery. Darnel's hands shook as the video ended. Detective Holloway's voice still echoed in his ears. "Darnel Green isn't done. He knows too much. We'll make sure he disappears, just like the others." The others. That phrase clawed at Darnel's mind like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. How many had Holloway buried under lies? How many innocent lives had been destroyed the same way he tried to destroy Darnel's? One thing was clear. Darnel was no longer just a victim. He was a target. And the clock was ticking. Darnel's phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it wasn't a threat. It was a location. An abandoned factory on the east side of town. Midnight. The message was short, chilling, and direct. "If you want to live, come alone." Darnel's stomach twisted. Was this a trap? Almost certainly. But he also knew something else. If Holloway was bold enough to send him a message, then maybe, just maybe, he was sloppy enough to slip up. And Darnel needed answers. At 11:58 p.m., Darnel pulled up in his sister's old car. The factory loomed like a skeleton in the night. Broken windows, rusted beams, and silence so heavy it pressed down on his chest. He stepped inside, his footsteps echoing against cracked concrete. Darnel Green. The voice came from the shadows. Darnel turned sharply. A figure stepped forward. It wasn't Holloway. It was the rookie officer. The same young cop who had slipped him the body cam footage. "You're not supposed to be here," the rookie whispered urgently. "Holloway's setting you up. He wants you gone just like the others." Darnel's heart pounded. Who are the others? What is this? The rookie glanced over his shoulder nervously, then pulled out a small notebook, pages filled with names, dates, and case numbers. They're all victims. People Holloway framed, people who never made it out. Some disappeared in jail. Some were shot resisting arrest. All of them had one thing in common: they threatened to expose him. Darnel's chest tightened. "And I'm next." The rookie nodded grimly. But before he could say more, glass shattered above them. A red laser dot danced across the wall. "Get down," the rookie shouted. Gunfire ripped through the factory. Bullets clanged off metal beams as Darnel dove behind a stack of crates. The rookie fired back with his service weapon, shouting at Darnel to move. "Go. Run." Darnel bolted, his lungs burning, his legs pounding against the concrete floor. He didn't look back until he burst out into the cold night air. The factory doors slammed shut behind him. Then silence. The rookie was gone. Darnel drove straight to Ms. Alvarez's small office downtown, his hands still trembling. He slammed the notebook onto her desk. "This is bigger than me," Darnel said, his voice shaking. "Holloway isn't just corrupt. He's running something that's been silencing people for years." Ms. Alvarez flipped through the notebook, her face growing pale. "My God, these aren't just random cases. Look at the names. These are people tied to lawsuits, complaints, witnesses against city officials. This isn't just Holloway. This goes all the way up." Darnel leaned forward, his voice low. "Mayor Harrington." Ms. Alvarez looked at him sharply. Darnel continued. "Think about it. Why else would Holloway be protected? Why else would evidence get buried? This isn't one dirty cop. It's a whole system. Just as Alvarez opened her mouth to respond, the office lights flickered, then cut out. The room plunged into darkness. Darnel froze. Alvarez whispered, "Stay quiet." A shadow moved outside the frosted glass of the office door. Then a deafening crash. The door burst open and two masked men stormed inside. Darnel barely had time to react before one of them lunged for the notebook. Alvarez screamed, clutching it to her chest. "Run, Darnel," she shouted. One of the men shoved Darnel against the wall while the other ripped the notebook away from Alvarez's hands. In seconds they were gone, disappearing into the night as quickly as they had arrived. Darnel stumbled forward, gasping. "No, that was our proof." But Alvarez shook her head, her eyes burning. "Not all of it." She reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a hidden flash drive. "I made a copy." With the drive in his pocket, Darnel knew his time was running out. The threats weren't idle anymore. Holloway wasn't just trying to scare him, he was actively hunting him. Everywhere Darnel went he felt the eyes. Cars idling too long outside his house. Strangers following a little too closely in stores. His phone buzzing with blocked calls. Then came the most chilling moment of all. One night, Darnel returned home to find his sister sitting on the couch, trembling. "They came here," she whispered. "Two men. They asked about you. They said you only had 1 week." Darnel's blood went cold. Determined to end this, Darnel and Alvarez arranged a secret meeting with a journalist, an investigative reporter who had spent years chasing corruption stories the city tried to bury. They agreed to meet in a public cafe, hoping the crowd would keep them safe. Darnel slid the flash drive across the table. "Everything's on here. Bank transfers. Emails. Evidence of Harrington's deals with Holloway. If we release this, it blows the whole thing open." The journalist nodded slowly, eyes wide. "This is huge. But you need to understand, once this goes public there's no going back. They'll come after you harder than ever." Darnel clenched his fists. "They already are." But before the journalist could pocket the drive, sirens wailed outside. Police cars swarmed the block. And leading the charge was none other than Detective Holloway. The cafe erupted in chaos. Customers screamed as Holloway's men stormed inside. "There he is. Darnel Green, you're under arrest." "For what?" Darnel shouted. Holloway smirked. "Conspiracy. Tampering with evidence. Threatening a police officer. Take your pick." Darnel's heart pounded. They weren't just after the evidence. They were rewriting the story, again, turning him back into the villain. The journalist was shoved aside. Alvarez tried to protest but was dragged out in handcuffs. And Darnel? He was slammed against the floor, the flash drive ripped from his pocket. As Holloway leaned down, whispering in his ear, Darnel's world spun with rage and fear. "You should have stayed quiet, kid. Now you'll join the others." But just as Holloway turned to leave, a voice rang out from the back of the cafe. "Not this time." The room froze. The rookie officer stepped forward, badge in hand, recorder clipped to his chest, red light blinking. "I've been recording everything," he said, his voice steady. "The threats, the setups, the frame jobs. It's all here. And the department can't bury it this time, because it's already been uploaded." Gasps filled the cafe. Holloway's smug grin faltered. For the first time the predator looked cornered. But before Darnel could breathe a sigh of relief, his phone buzzed. A new message. He opened it and his heart stopped. It was a photo of his sister. Blindfolded. Hands tied. The caption read, "Evidence means nothing if she doesn't live to see it. You want her back? Bring yourself. Alone." Darnel's knees buckled. Even with the rookie's evidence, even with the truth finally exposed, Holloway wasn't the end. Someone else was pulling the strings. And they had just raised the stakes higher than ever. When you stand against corruption, the fight doesn't end with truth. It begins with survival. Justice isn't just about evidence. It's about courage, sacrifice, and the willingness to risk everything for what's right. Like this video, subscribe and drop "Justice for Darnel" in the comments. The photo of his sister haunted Darnel's screen like a ghost. Blindfolded. Hands tied. Helpless. The caption seared into his mind. "Evidence means nothing if she doesn't live to see it. You want her back? Bring yourself. Alone." The room around him blurred. Voices echoed. Attorney Alvarez pleading with him not to act rashly, the rookie officer swearing they could protect her. But in Darnel's chest, one truth thundered louder than all of it. They had his sister. And if he didn't move now, she wouldn't make it through the night. Darnel gripped his phone so hard his knuckles turned white. For weeks he had been running from lies, traps, and bullets. But this wasn't about him anymore. This was personal. "They want me," Darnel whispered, his voice shaking with fury. "Not her. If I go, maybe they'll let her go." Attorney Alvarez slammed her hands on the table. "No. That's exactly what they want, to isolate you. If you walk in there alone, you'll never walk back out." The rookie officer nodded, his jaw tight. "They're playing you, Darnel. But we've got something they don't know. We've got the truth, and it's already out there. Holloway can't bury this anymore." But Darnel shook his head. Truth didn't matter if his sister's life hung by a thread. Justice could wait. Family couldn't. He stood. "Tell the world the truth. Do whatever you have to. But I'm going to get her back." The address came 2 hours later. An abandoned church on the outskirts of town. Midnight. As Darnel pulled up in his sister's car, the building loomed like a grave, its broken steeple pointing accusingly at the night sky. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back. To run. But inside those walls was his sister. And if this was a trap, he was ready to face it. He stepped inside. The air smelled of mildew and dust, pews splintered and broken. The silence pressed down like a coffin lid. Then footsteps. From the altar, a figure emerged. Not Holloway. Mayor Harrington. The mayor's tailored suit gleamed even in the shadows, his polished shoes crunching on broken glass as if he owned the ruin he walked through. His smile was cold, calculated, the kind of smile that had charmed cameras and voters for years. "Darnel Green," Harrington said smoothly, as if greeting an old friend. "The boy who won't stay buried." Darnell's fists clenched. "Where's my sister?" The mayor's eyes glittered. "Safe for now. That depends on you." Behind him, the shadows shifted. 2 masked men dragged Darnell's sister forward. Blindfolded. Hands bound. Her muffled sobs ripped through Darnell's chest. "You've made quite the mess," Harrington continued. "The rookie's recordings. Alvarez's flash drive. It's troublesome, but nothing I can't fix. Unless, of course, you refuse to cooperate." Darnel spat the words. "You mean unless I stay quiet?" The mayor's smile widened. "Exactly. You disappear tonight and your sister walks free. Refuse, and neither of you see the sun rise." Darnell's heart pounded like a war drum. He scanned the room. 2 men with guns. His sister trembling. Harrington smirking like the devil himself. But Darnel wasn't the same kid they framed weeks ago. He wasn't just running anymore, he was fighting. "You know what's funny?" Darnel said, forcing his voice steady. "You think you're still in control. But it's too late. The recordings? The evidence? They're already out there. The world knows." Harrington's smile faltered for the first time. Darnel pressed on. "Even if you kill me, people will ask questions. And when they do, they'll see you for what you are, a coward hiding behind a badge and a title." The mayor's jaw tightened. He nodded once. The men raised their guns. Darnell's chest tightened. His sister whimpered. Time froze. Then, the church doors exploded inward. Shouts filled the air. Flashlights cut through the dark. Armed officers stormed the room, led by Attorney Alvarez and the rookie officer. "Drop your weapons. Now." Chaos erupted. The masked men spun, guns blazing. Bullets shattered stained glass, raining shards across the pews. Darnel dove to the ground, dragging his sister with him. Alvarez ducked behind a pillar, firing back. The rookie sprinted forward, tackling one of the gunmen to the floor. Harrington cursed, retreating toward the altar. But Darnel saw his chance. He surged forward, tackling the mayor to the ground. For the first time, the mask slipped. Harrington wasn't calm, polished, or untouchable. He was desperate. He scrambled, grabbing a shard of glass, pressing it to Darnell's throat. His voice was a snarl now, stripped of charm. "You think you've won? You're nothing. Just another statistic they'll forget in a week." Darnell's eyes burned with fury. "Maybe. But not tonight." With a surge of strength, he knocked Harrington's arm aside, slamming him into the floor. The shard clattered away. And just like that, the mayor of the city, the man who thought he was untouchable, lay pinned beneath the boy he tried to destroy. Outside, sirens wailed. More officers swarmed the scene. Harrington and his men were dragged away in handcuffs, their power crumbling like the broken church around them. Darnel clutched his sister, tears streaming down his face. She was safe. Alive. That was all that mattered. For the first time in weeks, relief washed over him like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. But as he looked around, at Alvarez's exhausted smile, at the rookie's bloodied but determined face, he realized something. This wasn't the end. The next morning, news outlets erupted with the story. Footage from the rookie's recorder. Evidence from Alvarez's flash drive. Photos of Harrington being led away in handcuffs. Headlines blared. Mayor arrested in corruption scandal. Detective Holloway under investigation. Whistleblower Darnel Green exposes city's dark secret. For once, the truth couldn't be buried. But the victory felt hollow. Because while Harrington and Holloway sat in cells, too many names in that notebook still echoed in Darnell's mind. Too many voices silenced. Too many families destroyed. Justice had begun, but it was far from finished. Late that night, as Darnell sat with his sister in their small living room, his phone buzzed again. A known number. Hands trembling, he opened the message. Was a video. The screen flickered to life, revealing a dark room. A figure sat at a desk, face hidden in shadows. The voice was calm, smooth, deadly. You did well, Darnell. But Harrington? Holloway? They were pawns. The real game has just begun. The figure leaned forward slightly. A gold ring glinted on his hand. You think you've uncovered corruption? You've only scratched the surface. And now you're on my radar. The video cut to black. Darnell stared at the screen, his blood running cold. He had won the battle. But the war was only beginning. And that's where we leave you. Darnell fought back against corruption, stared down power, and survived when no one believed he could. But as the shadows grow deeper, one question remains. If Harrington and Holloway were only pawns, who's the king pulling the strings? The truth is out there. But so are the enemies who will do anything to keep it buried. This is bigger than one man. Bigger than one city. This is an unsolved mystery that police still can't explain. Who is behind this mystery? Will the police be able to uncover the truth? Comment your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of dignity, power, and justice.